If you've ever wondered if it's easy or hard to add 3D text like this to a video in Davinci Resolve, look no further, my friend, because I'm going to show you how, and we're going to track it. Neat, right? Yeah, welcome to Creator Reality. It's easier than you thought to do this. Now, let's dive into Davinci Resolve, and I'll show you what we're working with. Here we are, we've got a timeline. It's gonna have one clip in it, and we wanna maybe add some 3D text up at the top. So we're gonna do that, it's pretty easy. I'm gonna right click on my clip, I'm gonna say New Fusion Clip, then I'm gonna right click on it and Open in Fusion Page. Now we're in the Fusion page, and we don't need our effects, we just need our viewers here. And we're gonna need a few things. So with nothing selected, I'm going to press Shift Spacebar and type in text. And there it is, Text 3D. Click Add, and then I want to click in empty space again, Shift Spacebar, and we need a 3D light. So I type in 3DL, which gives us a directional light. Click Add, line them up. Now, after these two, we need, in empty space, a 3D renderer. So 3D renderer, no, render 3D, there it is, renderer 3D. Click Add. And then we're going to take the output of text 3D and merge it with the output of directional light 1, and it creates a merge 3D, which then we drag the output into our render 3D input, and we have basically everything we need. So the 3D text, we're going to click on it and press the 1 key. It'll come up in the left-hand viewer. Don't be scared. This is all easy stuff. Over here, we're going to type in 2024 Road Glide, because that's the type of bike I'm riding. And we want the text to be blue, so we're going to click a nice bright blue. And then we're going to come down here to extrusion, and we're going to change our depth to 0.08. And you'll see over here on our left viewer, we have our text now extruding. So if we click with our center mouse wheel, you can move around here. You can see that it's 3D. And then if you click this button up here, it gives you the 3 wheels, and you can change the X, Y, and Z axes of it. Control Z twice to undo that. This is good enough for now. The 3D directional light, when you click on that, it shows up in the same space. This one, we're going to want to click on this little round wheel, and we're going to end up changing it to about that. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's click on Merge 3D 1, check Pass-Through Lights, and then on Render 3D 1, we want to check hardware, software, or UV renderer. I'm going to check hardware renderer, and then we're going to make sure that we have lighting enabled. So we're going to click on the checkbox next to lighting, and now lighting should be enabled for our item. And we can drag the output of our renderer onto the output of media in 1, which creates a merge. And now you can see the final effect. This text is too big. So we'll go back to our text 3D, grab our size, and whoa, it goes quick. But we're going to drag it down, and we go to layout, and we're going to bring it up, and you'll see how that changes because we're moving it in the left-hand viewer here, which changes its position relative to our light. So down here, you can see less white, and then up here, there's a little bit more right about there, because this is where it lines up with the light. So if that's the way we like it, that's the way we like it. But for our text 3D, I really want the impact font. There we go. Yeah, that's bold and stands out. We can make it slightly bigger and then bring it back down just a touch. Now, let me stop here for just a second. This tutorial is kind of basic to give you the fundamentals. And with that in mind, let's go take a look at some of the 3D text controls or text 3D controls. With text 3D 1 selected, I mentioned that we've got a couple of icons here. We have move and rotate, and I don't really mess with scale, but the move gives you these 3 arrows, green, red, and blue. And they do just what they look like. You could drag the center one around. See how they all 3 turn white? You could drag them around, Control Z to undo, or you could drag just one, and it changes the height, and then the left to right, so the x-axis, and then foreground and background. And if you pay attention to this right-hand viewer, you can see exactly what it's doing in the final image because we have this merge 1. Now, if you click on the rotate icon, I showed this a little bit earlier, but now you can really see it in the finished view, and you can see how the directional lighting changes things. So if I wanted it at this angle, if I then click on the directional light 1, it gives us the same controls, right? We can select all 3 of them and move it around, and you'll see that not much is changing. But if I Control Z to undo that twice, come up and switch to rotate mode, now we can go back in and fine tune where that lighting is hitting our text. So if you just want a little bit of a glow, you're going to want it right here, and then you can come back and forth and tinker with it to your heart's content. Now, one thing I should mention is with the center mouse wheel, you can move up and down. And then if you click, like I showed you earlier, you can click the center mouse wheel and drag in 3D space. But if you hold Control and zoom in, it changes kind of the scale a little bit, right? And then if we hold Shift and scroll with the center mouse wheel, you can see that we're changing our position relative to where the text is going to be. So nothing on the text changes, but it kind of can help you fine tune where things are positioned by giving yourself a better view. And if you want to rotate, that's as easy as holding Alt and Shift on your keyboard and scrolling with the mouse wheel. So we rotate in one direction with Shift Alt, and then another direction with Shift, and then zoom in and out with Control. Hopefully now you have better ways to fine tune the positioning of things and get a better feel for what's going on in your scene. And now if we want to make this text move around, all we have to do is use a Planar Tracker. And I've already done a tutorial here, so I'm going to gloss over it right now. So we're going to start by getting rid of our merge, and with media in 1 selected, Planar Tracker, and I want to set my reference point, drag a line around the sky right here, because that's where our text is going to be. We want it in the back frame. We want to not pick up the GoPro. Should be plenty of high contrast pixels in there, and we're going to track it. It should be able to track everything quite nicely. There's not a ton of movement in this scene, but there's enough. But it's going to track all those pixels. And now I can connect the output of our renderer 3D1 to the green triangle input of Planar Tracker 1, change our track to corner pin, and you'll see Road Glide is right there. So we'll drag our window up, and we'll put our text right where we want it. There's our text, and maybe we want to make that a little bit taller. And you can play around with all this stuff, but watch this. See how the text moves and it changes in color? It's now fully tracked, and it looks like this text is in the frame, like up in the sky. So if we come back here and let it render, let's take a look at the playback now that that text is glued to the trees in the background. I think it's pretty cool. Did you see that? It got a little bit smaller as we played through that clip. If we go out of full frame, I play it again. You can see that the text gets a little bit smaller when I back up away from the camera, and it's rotated a little bit to show my movement around the bike. How cool is that, right? So now you learned how to use the basics of the Planar Tracker. Again, I suggest you watch my Planar Tracker tutorial that I linked earlier, and you learn how to make 3D text all in what, under 10 minutes, right? This was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for watching. If you learned anything, boop the like button, please consider subscribing, and leave me a comment if you have any questions or something else you want me to cover and resolve. Anyway, I hope you're having a great day. Go check out this video next that YouTube has curated from my catalog for you to watch. I'm sure it's helpful too. John out.